From the Homestead Studios in Santa Clarita, California, this is a Headache Soul production. Welcome to Just the Tip-Sters, America's favorite true crime podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Morgan. With me today is my handsome and talented co-host, Joshua Smoke Cheddar the Ass Getter Bevan.
Smoke Cheddar
the Ass Getter. Yeah.
Yeah, well, good morning.
That's Timothy Chalamet's rapper name when he hosts Saturday Night Live.
Okay, got it.
It just made me laugh so hard.
Oh, okay.
Smoke Cheddar the Ass Getter.
That's okay.
And we both love smoke cheddar.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you are getting asses, I don't want to know about it.
Okay.
Yeah. We had a discussion earlier this week about the term, like a piece of ass.
Piece of ass.
I don't get. I was like, I
want the whole
I'm
thing.
doing it
I don't
wrong.
want a piece.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm doing it wrong. I don't know what's happening. Okay, so this is a totally weird story. Our beloved Suzanne, who really does deserve like associate producer credit because she gives me information almost on the daily, sometimes through the ethers and sometimes, in a message. She sent me a book that was her father's. It means a lot to me because it was her dad's. It's called the Darwin Awards. And it's felonious failures. It's involving crime.
Oh boy. Okay.
And what's so weird is this connection, not only from Suzanne, but this town in Washington is where our beloved Lorraine lives. It's a suburb of Seattle. And she hosted the Big Feelings podcast for a while. She's no longer doing that, but this is pretty funny. It's called Wrong Place, Wrong Time, February 3rd of 1990. A man tried to commit a robbery in Renton, Washington. It was probably his first attempt at armed robbery, as suggested by the fact that he had no previous record of violent crime, but he made a terminally stupid choice.
No.
Number one, the target was H&J Leather and Firearms.
Uh-oh.
A gun shop.
This is not going to go well.
The shop was full of customers.
Oh, geez.
Firearms customers in a U.S. state where a substantial portion of the adult population is licensed to carry concealed handguns in public places.
Uh-huh.
To enter the shop, he had to step around a marked police patrol car parked at the front door. An officer in uniform was standing next to the counter having coffee before he reported for duty.
Mm-hmm. Upon
entering and seeing the officer, the would-be robber announced a holdup and fired a few wild shots.
Oh, geez.
The officer and clerk promptly returned fire, covered by several customers who also drew their guns, thereby removing the confused criminal from the gene pool, and no one else was hurt.
Yeah. No.
I mean,
yeah.
Criminal mastermind? No.
Read the room, bud.
Yeah, read the room. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? You have to walk around a marked police car to get to the front door.
I mean,
right. At first, I was like, "Oh, was it death by
suicide by cop?"
Suicide by cop.
Yeah, that was like, if he wanted to do it right now, okay, it's for sure going to happen.
I don't know,
but
do you think?
I don't know.
Maybe it was too much Starbucks.
Maybe
because he was in a Seattle suburb. That burnt shit. Yeah,
right. There's a lot of burnt coffee in that town.
Maybe it hurt his brain.
She says as she takes a sip.
As I'm drinking, but who brought it to me? How did I get this particular?
Yeah.
Red cup day.
What's so funny is like I usually don't do
Starbucks
don't. Coffee,
and you never like bring anything to me.
Well, it's rare that I stop on the way,
right.
And I was like, I'm going to, but like my very first sip, it's so overcooked.
Oh,
I mean
mine's not bad, but you got the fancy holiday.
Yeah, the creme brulee.
Creme brulee.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really well done. I don't know if
well done. I love it. Well done. I'd like my coffee well done, please.
So many people say, "Oh, Starbucks tastes burnt," and
well, they triple roast it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not a
really,
coffee
it's
connoisseur.
really well done.
I like dessert shit.
Well, sure. There's
I
a
mean,
lot of
that's all
good.
I like is dessert coffee.
No, it's delicious. There's a lot of good sugar and whatever in this drink.
You know what Mark Humphreys used to have every day?
No.
A venti, I don't know what's like, it's called like a black eye or something, like a giant coffee with nothing in it and a shot of espresso.
Oh, okay. A drip, a whole thing of
A
coffee
venti.
with an extra shot of espresso.
Mm-hmm. Every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, no kidding.
That'll get you buzzed.
I guess.
Right.
I don't know. He loved his coffee.
Yeah.
So God bless him. Yeah.
Did he dig Starbucks?
You know what's so frightening? He did.
He did. Okay.
I think he likes, he. So one year for Christmas, I got him the Platinum Keurig. I don't know who needs the platinum one, but whatever.
Okay.
Because he deserved the best. And I put it on the counter. Yeah, shut up. I put it on the counter and then wrapped paper around it because I didn't know how, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, your present's on the counter.
Right.
So he takes the, and he was so thrilled. It's still downstairs in the little butler's pantry area. And I would wait till these went on sale and get him boxes of like 100 Emerald Lagasse's big, dark, bold French roast.
Okay.
Like darker and blacker and burner and bitter as fuck. Okay. That was what Mark Humphreys loved. Okay. So
he digs it really well done.
Yes. Yeah. And which is funny because he likes, like steak, rare. The color of your shirt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And you
pink
like
and bloody.
You like burnt steak.
Shoe leather. Yes. Almost inedible. I want a hockey puck.
Just throw it in the fire for a bit and then rub the coals off.
Yes.
Put it on the plate. Yeah.
Delicious. Yeah. How do we get on the coffee thing?
I don't know.
Oh, Renton, Washington. Sorry.
Oh, sure.
Before I forget, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Graveline Tours, and they are expanding, and I am so excited. They are doing more of the Black Dahlia. I can't wait.
Oh, cool. Good.
Adam is posting really fun shit on their social media. If you want to look at their websites, you can get connected to everything. It's graveline.rip. But if you just Google Graveline Tours, you'll find, everything hopefully you need to find. They are spectacular. And I will tell you that I heard a podcast today that was very interesting. I haven't heard the entire thing yet, but Lorraine, our friend in Renton, Washington, told me about Amanda Knox, she of the, Italian law that she was almost convicted of murdering her roommate, Meredith Karcher,
Okay.
Yeah. So Amanda Knox is doing a podcast, or did a podcast. It was like 6 episodes, but one on true crime. I think the podcast is called Labyrinths, and she has a couple of different podcasts. But the one on true crime was so fascinating, going back like 500 years to penny dreadfuls, like pamphlets. And something called broadsides, which would be like today's wanted poster.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. Cool. And like a poster in Town Square that said like Bob Smith killed his wife, and like drawings.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really. And then ballads that you would sing in a bar or a pub.
And the song is about a wow.
About the crime.
Cool.
Yeah, that's how true crime was communicated back in the day.
Okay.
Interesting.
So we're going to start writing songs?
Yeah, do you mind?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
What was interesting about a long time ago is they would use kind of the same songs, so you would immediately be able to pick up, it's like, oh, it's sung to this tune.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Every song is a ballad of, Bob Smith, the murderer.
Right.
Ironically, and maybe because there weren't a whole lot of like jobs available, a lot of them were butchers.
Well,
literal.
I mean,
I came from a family of butchers.
If you dig it, that's okay. Maybe that's nature versus nurture. Like
down the line.
I really like, this when I was 5 years old, I liked dismembering animals. So now I like doing it to people.
Named Susie or something. Yeah. Or disemboweling something or.
Yeah.
David Letterman had the funniest thing. He was sitting on the panel on the Tonight Show. And I love like the history of names. And he's like, going back through the history of names, like Smith, it's like from, the blacksmith
Sure.
of the town,
Yeah.
and then he's like, my name, Letterman. I don't know where that came from. It's like the guy who delivered mail.
Okay. Nice. He's the guy who puts an envelope to his Oh no,
Yeah.
that was Carson.
No, that's Karnak, right? I just thought it was so funny. He's like, I don't know where Letterman came from. Yeah, no, can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
The name Baker. Wonder what they did.
Baker.
Yeah. Okay, so one more little piece of information. I spent last week in Anaheim at the TOC Con, which is Tamara Olden Communication, and she was a PIO and has a convention every year for PIOs, and it was really fascinating. I'll talk more about it later, but it was 2.5 days of great information, wonderful speakers, a varied program, first responders, people who'd gone through the shit like mental health issues, about resources available. I mean, I took copious amounts of notes, and I'm waiting. I got my certificate, so I can.
Hey, way to go.
I know. I feel so like official, and they're getting the notes together to email us all the notes too. I guess there are some speakers who don't want their notes shared.
Oh, okay.
Which is so weird because everybody was like taking screenshots of their slides.
Sure.
So what's going to make me interested is to see what notes we get and see who didn't want their notes included.
Huh.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. Do you, are you going to be able to compare? Are you
gonna, yeah. I took so many notes, and I know, and so many screenshots. I know who's redacted. Won't and will share. I mean, I don't know now, but I will know who didn't share.
Sure. Cool.
The person who wrapped up the conference was an attorney for the Orange County District Attorney's Office, but she did not try. She used to try cases, but she basically is in charge of all of the social media.
Oh, cool.
I had no idea that when you're a public entity, you cannot block or delete someone's comment.
Oh, so when somebody comments on your post as running the public account, you can't delete it.
Right. So when somebody's like, fuck the pigs, you're like, okay. As you said, you put a little heart, you heart it.
No.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Yeah, really.
Heart. Yeah.
Saw this. Thank you. Yeah.
I mean, I get it. First Amendment stuff.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like, yeah.
It's ugly as fuck.
Yeah, that sounds, yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked. Yeah. I was shocked, but I guess it makes sense,
Yeah.
If you're a private figure, you can do, I guess, whatever you want. If it's your private social media, you can do whatever you want. But if it's a public entity, you know what? It's so funny. I just always thought, like, our little Santa Clarita Sheriff's Department, social media, I just thought they just ignored trolls. I didn't realize they didn't have a choice.
They can't. They have to. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that I've seen a lot of their stuff, but yeah, I definitely I've seen some good police departments or town councils or whatever.
You sent me one. You sent me one last night. I laughed so hard. This young kid said, "Hey, my parents are out of town. I'm having a party. The blank 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 PIO is not invited.
Yeah,
whatever
right.
city.
Yeah,
and then the PIO goes, that's okay. I mean, we're always here, and from the amount of people who've responded, I don't think anyone else is going either." Boom. Yeah.
Just a little dig back at you.
Yeah. You enjoy your party of one, like sir. That. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
I love the big entities.
Wendy's.
Wendy's kills me.
Yes.
Oh, they're so good.
Genius.
And they're not even like slap back because they'll comment on Burger King stuff or McDonald's stuff.
Oh, my
God.
They'll
go out of their way to
bury them.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll bury them. You know who else is really good? James Blunt.
Oh, okay.
He gets so much shit where people talk about, what a terrible, untalented piece of shit he is. And he has it. He is a gifted wordsmith in a very short phrase.
Oh, okay.
Just like
okay.
real short. No like explanation, just like, and so's your mother or something. You know what I
Nice.
mean?
Okay.
And it's like, oh, damn. He's like got a very wicked tongue. It's great.
Cool.
When you think it's that guy who sang, beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. And it's like, he's like, he's got like a shiv tongue.
I mean, you kind of got to have both.
I guess.
I love you, and
he's well-rounded.
Yeah.
Because when people say shit about his music or a new album coming out, it's like, oh, you're still alive. I mean, he just like, it's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty. So yeah.
Good for you, James Blunt.
He's, I appreciate him very much. So this case is a strange one, an interesting one. I feel ignorant because it was so close to home. It's here in the Silver Lake neighborhood of Los Angeles, and it's the 10th anniversary. So Wednesday, November 13th of 2013, a really odd thing happened. And it wouldn't be odd if there were more things to explain it. But when I get into this, you're going to be like, oh, okay. This 78-year-old man is kind of a Los Angeles hero.
Okay.
His name is Joseph Gatto. And he is an artist who in his retirement didn't really ever retire, but continued to create art. But more importantly, he taught artists. He is one of the originators of this school. It's like, I'll find the name of it somewhere, but it's like the Los Angeles School for the Arts.
Oh, wow.
And he taught there for decades. And he was this extremely well-loved human being. Cool. And it wasn't that he was, how do I say this? He treated artists the way they wanted to be treated. He didn't mollycoddle them. He would put them in a room and give them like a charcoal pencil and a piece of paper and say, create 30 different designs and go. Yeah. And he pushed them, but with loving hands.
Okay.
So the official portrait of the Obama inauguration was a man from Los Angeles who was trained under Joseph Gatto.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So there are murals all over Los Angeles that students of Joseph Gatto, they were hired to do these murals, and, they didn't realize they were all students of his.
Cool.
He was on like many boards. He was, he was just a really exceptional human being. He's a 78-year-old man living by himself in his house in Silver Lake, and he's creating really interesting jewelry. I wanted to show this picture. I know pictures are great. Isn't that fun for an audio podcast?
Let's see the pictures.
Look at this ring.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
really
amazing.
Interesting stones. Can you see it's a bird in a nest?
Bird. Okay, yeah. I got you.
So in his retirement, he didn't really retire. He still was on a bunch of boards, and he created very unusual jewelry. And I showed Joshua a picture of a ring that had coral, gold, pearl, and found objects. That's
so cool.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. I actually know some people who would wear stuff like that. I would end up getting it caught in all my sweaters because that's just me. So November 13th of 2013, Joseph Gatto is sitting, well, they don't even believe he was sitting at his desk. They believe he was taken there to maybe, he didn't have a safe or, they were like, why is he sitting at his desk? He was shot in the abdomen.
Oh, no.
And he bled out. His daughter has 3 children, Nicole, Mariana, and Mike. Mike Gatto is a state assemblyman. And Mike is the one kind of leading the charge to have people remember his father's case and come forward with anything because he knows somebody knows.
Okay.
So his daughter found him at 8:12 p.m. on Wednesday, November 13th, sitting at his desk. And she said, I didn't know that he had been shot. I thought he just expired. And she called, the coroner. And then they were like, oh, no, it's a gunshot wound. And it then became this investigation.
Right. Yeah.
At the time, the police lieutenant was Richard Parks, and he said he was shot with the small caliber handgun, and other parts of the house had been ransacked.
Oh, no. Okay.
So the detective said there's no information whatsoever that Joseph's death had anything to do with his son's politics. So his son, Assemblyman Mike Gatto, is a Democrat who represented the district that included Silver Lake, the neighborhood where his dad lived. But, Mike Gatto said, look, I had enemies. My dad did not. My dad was loved by everyone. He was a valued mentor. His students came back to see him many years after they, had graduated. He was a fixture in the community. He, had lived in Silver Lake for a very long time. And his family is like, we don't know what's happening, why this would have happened. His son Mike said, there are a lot of people that are still in a state of disbelief, including me. There's a number of different theories. I've seen some printed, I've seen some spoken, and none of them sound right to me. I have to leave this up to the pros. So his daughter Mariana is the head of the Italian American Museum in Los Angeles. And she said, my father was loved by all. He had no enemies. The LAPD are investigating a number of different avenues, including whether the slaying was linked to an aggravated assault and vehicle break-in that was reported the night before, not far from Gatto's home. So there was an email that was circulated in this, Silver Lake area, even back then in 2013, they had like a phone tree, except it was.
Oh, an email.
And a woman
next door thing.
Yeah. A woman said, be on the lookout for suspicious prowlers. There's a man crouched next to a car with glass all around the ground on Tuesday night. She yelled at the man, and then another resident chased him, and they lost him. I mean, and it was close to his home, but not, his home.
Okay.
And, people stealing something from a car, trying to either steal a car or steal a stereo, going to be different than shooting an old man in his home,
right,
watching him bleed out and taking, which you're going to hear, this jewelry. I am not going to put any emphasis on this, but the jewelry is of an interesting derivation. I'm going to explain.
Okay.
So, artists from around Los Angeles came to a memorial service for him. He's this, great educator and promoter of the arts. Robert Vargas, who did a mural in downtown LA on the corner of 6th and Spring Street, said he was a pillar in my foundation as a young artist. It was the Los Angeles County High School for the Arts that Gatto helped start and taught at. And Vargas was a graduate in 1993. He said the most important class he remembered Joseph Gatto teaching was a figure drawing class in which half the class would draw and the other half would critique. His teaching style was honest. It was very direct. I think his honesty and intentions were always sincere. He challenged and inspired us to pull from within ourselves and not be afraid of the path of discovery. He said, follow it wherever it leads you. So he is found slumped over his desk, the day after there's car break-ins. His, daughter Mariana says that the house had been ransacked, but they're still trying to find a motive. Robert Vargas had been planning on drawing a live drawing in honor of Gatto at the downtown art walk. And he called a few of his classmates and said, hey, can you join me? They're going to come out and support this, and I know that's where our lives took a turn for the better. Uh-huh. The world has lost a great man, a great promoter of the arts, and a great educator of the arts. Kathleen Bellinger was a student of Gatto's at Granada Hills High School. I was 16 years old and just happened to get him as a teacher, and it changed my life. He loved art. He loved the art of inspiring people, and you couldn't help but get a love of art from him.
That's amazing.
Yeah. One thing I remember him doing on the first day of class, he gave us all a piece of charcoal and a piece of paper and said, I want you to make 30 different types of marks on that piece of paper, and you have 5 minutes, go. I know.
That's
I know.
okay.
It was a serious business for him. He wanted us all to get into the nation's top art conservatories and art colleges. This was not a joke. It wasn't about having fun. He took his art seriously. He had extremely high expectations for his students. He treated us like professional artists because that's what he wanted us and expected us to be.
Wow.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wendy Triplett is the manager of a prop and model department at the Art Center of Design in Pasadena, and she worked with Gatto booking models for his classes where he taught there. Joe was such a warm, charismatic, brilliant teacher who was very well liked by all the faculty, models, and students who worked with him. He taught Introduction to Drawing for the Art Center at Night program. He taught students how to draw a nude figure model. He sent handmade cards and notes of thanks and appreciation to the models and the students. My heart breaks for his family. I've been fielding calls all day from models who are crushed to hear of his death. The world has lost a great teacher and a wonderful man. So in his retirement, he started making jewelry, and he, was the founding visual art dean of the LA County High School for the Arts. He was born in Colorado and the son of Italian immigrants. His father was a shoveler in the steel industry, and his mother was a garment worker. When they moved to California, he attended Fairfax High School and he wanted to go to college. So he worked bagging groceries and he lettered in 4 sports, trying to get a scholarship. After he went to the military, he attended California State University and Pepperdine in Malibu, and he earned a bachelor's and a master's in art and education. He was the first person in his family to graduate college and definitely to earn advanced degrees.
Amazing.
So he won awards for his jewelry, his painting, his photography, and also several books on teaching art. He was a recipient of the California Bravo Teacher of the Year Award and honored at the White House by both Presidents Reagan and President Bush, George W. Bush. He was active in his church and community. He supported the parish school of Our Mother of Good Counsel Church and participated in local politics. It was why he, his son got into being a state assemblyman. In 2004, he fulfilled a lifelong dream and he was a delegate to the Democratic National Convention. Yeah.
Amazing.
After he retired from the high school, he continued to teach figure drawing and art education courses, at the Design Center in Pasadena. And he exhibited and gained national acclaim for his jewelry. And it's shown under his brand, Wear Art Now, WEAR.
Wear Art. Got
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Cool.
So he's, this father, grandfather, world traveler, avid gardener. He just lived life to the fullest. And here he is, 78 years old, loves his, family, and his art students come back and think of him as family. This is such a beautiful, I love this picture of him. It was taken by one of his students.
Oh, good looking dude.
Yeah, and he said to this Kent Twitchell, who's pretty well known, who does murals around LA. He did murals for the Bob Hope Patriotic Hall in downtown LA, and he wanted to dedicate a mural to the artists around LA. And it was called We the People Out of Many One. And he picked Gatto as one of the, models. And he emails, it's like 2 or 3 months before he's murdered. He emails Joseph Gatto and says, hey, would you show up so I can photograph you? And then I'm going to paint you in this mural from the photograph. And he said, I will suit up with my Italian jacket and tattered Levi's. Joseph Gatto reporting for duty, sir. I mean,
awesome.
Yeah, he's such a supporter of others. And it's, this picture, they're talking about this picture. They said he sits in a bomber jacket, peering back at the viewer, and it quickly became the most interesting part of the mural. It just breaks my heart. All of this just breaks my fucking heart. They have a, beautiful memorial, and his daughter Mariana said he found beauty and wonderment in everything. So 6 years later, after in 2019, his son has a candlelight vigil for him and is like, look, 6 years have gone by. What's going on? Why is my father's case still unsolved? This is ridiculous. Now I'm going to tell you this. This is a little uncomfortable. I hate hearing infighting in a family. Right.
Yeah.
So I do not know. I mean, this is apparently a legal document, which upsets me greatly because I don't want to say something that isn't true. But apparently, a news source reviewed these documents and said that Joseph Gatto was considering disinheriting his daughter, Nicole, and she was the executor of his estate. He wanted to rewrite his will in the months before his death.
All right.
Here's why. The documents were part of a filing made earlier by Mike Gatto, Nicole's brother. The state legislator challenged more than $600,000 in executor and legal fees that were claimed by Nicole.
Huh.
Right. They also were fighting over a wooden cradle that was made by Sam Maloof, who is a noted woodworker, and it was a family heirloom. It's supposed to be valued at $600,000.
Oh, wow.
Mike wanted to keep the crib for sentimental reasons, and his sister Nicole said, I want to sell the item because that's what's instructed in my father's will.
Yeah. Wow.
Maybe she was doing her job as the executor.
Sure.
But Mike was like, I would like to keep this cradle for my children, his grandsons, his grandchildren.
Yeah. I have one of those, actually.
A cradle? Oh, wow. Made by Sam Maloof?
I don't know who made it.
Oh,
it's
but
just a really nice woodworked cradle that my brother and I were in. There's plaques on the side of it.
Oh my gosh.
with
How far back does
everybody's
it go?
birthday. My
grandfather?
Me. No.
Oh, okay.
No.
I think I meant like your dad, your grandfather.
There's a couple of people older than me, but I'm almost the oldest in it. But,
oh, wow.
But then my kids were in it, and my brother's kids.
I love that.
Yeah. So creating the family heirloom.
That's beautiful. I think that's incredibly beautiful. So he's, found slumped over his desk. They're like, why would someone shoot an old man in the stomach and watch him bleed out? Why is he sitting at his desk? No one knows exactly what's going on. They're like, is it robbery? Is it this, person who was skulking around trying to steal, cars? Mike Gatto is like, I think about my father every day. I try every day to honor his legacy in some way to make him proud, and the holidays are never easy. So they did release a sketch. I got to be honest, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It could look like Joshua and it could look like me. It's somebody in a hoodie.
Okay.
With the least detail on a face, it's like a face in a hoodie.
Yeah, okay.
It's just not,
Yeah.
Yeah. The entire family is, like we're desperately trying to make sure this does not stay a cold case. We want to make this fresh in people's minds. We really do believe that somebody out there knows something. They saw something. Perhaps somebody bragged to one of their friends. He's, a retired teacher, an artist, a veteran. He was somebody who had no enemies. He was loved by all. 500 or 600 of his students attended his funeral. 500 or 600 students.
Wow.
Yeah. For him to go out this way, this is just too hard to swallow. Mike Gatto said, this is a dark cloud in the Gatto family, but I see my father in my son's eyes. I wish my father could have met his grandson. We named him Joseph after my father.
Oh.
He's a terrific kid, and I know my dad would have loved him.
Oh.
So there had been, some houses in the Silver Lake area that had been targeted by robbers. A neighbor had things stolen. It's very odd. Some of this jewelry was created for a display in Glendale, and he was going to donate some of the jewelry, and he was going to give a talk about Russian religious icons. And apparently that was a lot of the jewelry that was stolen.
Wow.
I don't know if there's a connection. I just, I don't think the Russian mafia killed him for the jewelry he was going to talk about and donate.
Was it very specifically these items of jewelry, or was it like what kind of valuable stuff was in his house? Like, did other valuables get skipped? And
that's a great question.
Or was it, okay, I'm just going to run to this cabinet and take everything from this cabinet and then run away?
That is a very great question. I believe that Mr. Gatto was a collector, and you would have had to know what was important.
Okay.
This is why it's so hard. It's like, was this random? Was this, I'm going to tell you that LAPD thinks it was targeted.
Okay.
There's no signs of forced entry. Would he have known the person? His son, Mike Gatto, says, my father had 3 cars. Would you pass up 3 cars to
go
into the house?
The 3 cars were not stolen.
Nope, nothing from there.
Okay.
Would you pass up 3 cars to go into the home, shoot him in the stomach, watch him bleed out, and take, maybe there were other things taken, but a lot of the jewelry, and you saw the picture of the ring, and I'll put the picture of the ring up. You would have to know. I mean, you would see that and be like, what the fuck? Yeah, what was it you thought it was at first?
Well, it looked kind of like a Dachshund dog, like a long...
Right. You said, was that a dog or something?
Is it a dog?
No, it's a bird and a nest.
Yeah, a bird and a nest. I mean, once you said it, I saw it.
Yeah, you saw the bird's head. Right. Yeah. So you wouldn't be at a jewelry store going, I need that.
I need it. Right.
Yeah. Or someone in my life needs that. I love that thing for her.
Yeah.
It's an unusual piece. It would be someone who is a collector of specific things. And I think he, had stages in his life, where he would do, I mean, he was such a broad-minded, open-minded artist, photographer, painter, sculptor, jewelry maker. I mean, so this specific ring was, also made with found items. Like, I think he melted down gold, and I mean, there's a part on the bottom of the ring that I would think it'd be difficult to wear. It looked like it would hit you in the finger or something, but I mean, maybe it's just pieces that, like Wear Art Now, WEAR, Art Now, his company, maybe these were things that you just collected and kept because they were so unusual or special.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody has a theory. It's like, is it connected to this rash of car break-ins? Is it, the incident the night before where there's broken glass in a car, somebody yells at someone and someone else chases them away? Apparently not long before he was murdered, a neighbor confronted a man who brandished a gun, threatened to kill them, and then ran away.
Oh.
And Mike Gatto has some good points. He lives near the Silver Lake Reservoir. There are thousands of joggers around this reservoir every day, all the time. If people saw somebody that didn't seem right, if they saw someone leaving quickly, if they, saw anything at all, please come forward and let us know, because right now it would really help us catch this person. And this case so overwhelmed the family that he decided not to run again for his seat in 2016. Many factors influenced my decision, but foremost was my belief that campaigning at this time would not be in my family's best interest. Gatto is the father of 2 young children, and he and his wife are planning a third in the immediate future. And he states his father's murder and the case that's still unsolved as another reason why he didn't want to run. Yeah. And I get it. None of us know how long we have on this planet, and we certainly don't know how long others will have. But there's one thing I think everybody here can agree, that my father was taken too soon. So Mike Gatto spoke at a Veterans Day event, and he shared personal recollections of his father's last Veterans Day. I am the family historian. He had spoken to many of his family members who were veterans about their service, including a cousin who served in Vietnam and an uncle who served in World War II. But he did not speak to his father about his service in the Second World War. With my dad, it was different. He had served in the U.S. Army. He was younger and healthier than most of my other family members, and I was convinced he would live forever. He never attended Veterans Day ceremonies. It just wasn't his thing. But he and I had a tradition. I would go to the ceremonies in the morning. I would give a speech, and we would talk a lot about what we could do as a society to help veterans. And then he and I would go have dinner. It was a simple tradition, and we would never talk about his experience, but it was something we both did to mark the day.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. He said, I did get to talk to my dad shortly before he passed away, and I asked him for a recommendation for a plumber. Yeah. That's, the very next day he was gone. He was taken far too soon, and his death and our nation lost another veteran whose stories and experiences died with him. And that's something that makes this Veterans Day a little bittersweet for me. Don't let Veterans Day become bittersweet for you. When asked again why he decided not to run, he said, there's other factors as well. I believe the last thing voters in my district need is a divisive campaign. The party needs to focus on the big picture instead of costly fights.
Sure.
Yeah. Please know my decision was a difficult one, and it's probably caused as much gray hair in my head as the passage of time and the rigors of the job. I'm not disappearing. Your generosity over the years has certainly provided me with tremendous flexibility and many options down the line. He spent the last decade wondering, investigating, publicly asking who killed my father. I pored over every single clue. I've interviewed everybody in the neighborhood. I've searched as many different things as I can think of. Who shot my father in the stomach? Who ransacked his house? My father bled out, Mike said. The idea that somebody could sit there and watch an elderly person bleed to death, to me, that is crazy.
Yeah.
After 10 years, memories fade. The jewelry could have been melted down by now. We believe this case will be broken by good old-fashioned police work or members of the public coming forward, and we still hold out hope. The hope is that maybe aspects of this terrible crime will become more clear. We don't understand why a criminal would have done certain things. My father had 3 cars. This person went into a house with 3 cars present. Did he know my father was alone? Was this someone who knew him?
Yeah.
So detectives have said that there is DNA, but they're very careful about what they say. I don't know if it means it's a small amount and they want to save it waiting for science to catch up.
Oh, okay.
Or if they, are just worried that it's not going to match somebody in a database. I don't know why.
Okay, so they have DNA, but they have not tested yet.
That I don't know.
Oh.
It just says there is DNA, but we're not talking about it.
Okay, so
maybe they've tested it and it is a sample that isn't at a place, or science is not a place yet to give them a full profile.
Got it.
Could be. I just want you to know that there is a $50,000 reward. I hate when people use that as a reason to say something, and I don't care if that is your, impetus to do it. If you know something about this case, I'm going to give you the numbers. Please consider calling. 10 years is a long time. It's also not a long time if something has stuck in your head. You know what? That was weird that happened. You know what? This person said something and it might, relate to this. And $50,000 is not nothing.
Right.
And Mike Gatto is just not going to give up. He's not giving up. And he wants to keep the story alive because he says any attention on a cold case raises the profile. And he states this statistic that 49% of murders go unsolved in the United States. And that's heartbreaking. And I feel like Joseph Gatto's case is solvable.
Right.
It's solvable.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that you would call the LAPD Homicide Special Section, Robbery-Homicide Division at 213-846-6890. You can call 24 hours, the toll-free hotline, 877-LAPD-247, which is 877-527-3247. You can stay anonymous and call the Crime Stoppers Tip-Ster Hotline at 1-800-222-TIPS. And you can call us here at 832-Tip-Ster. That's 832-847-7837. You can find us at all the social media platforms, Facebook, JT Tipsters on Instagram, JT Tipsters Pod on Twitter. You can email us at jttipsters@gmail.com, and more cowbell.
If you would like to support this podcast and get early access and other cool murderous swag, go to patreon.com/justthetipsters.